Hi, Uprisers. It is Trisha LaCroix with Sacred Uprising Institute. We are here today to talk to Savannah Bruce. She is a poet that is incredibly gifted, and she is going to be talking today about the celebration of pain. So we're going to welcome Savannah here in just a few moments. I wanted to do a few announcements. Number one, we have another video coming up at 2:30 today, and that video is with me, yours truly, and it is in our series, Calling in the One. And this one, I'm adding Savannah, so just bear with me. It will be about being committed to the one, being committed to the process. It's about commitment. So, hey, Courtney. So, hey, Savannah. So good to see you. It worked. Yay.
Yay.
There was a little bit of issues earlier about how everything was set up, but so anyway, so calling in the one, we also will be having, I'll be having a guest, and I know many of you, hey, Tyler, that's my nephew, love him.
Hi, Tyler.
Many of you know of Christopher Lee. He is one of our speakers. He is going to be actually joining my series today to talk about, it's called Convergence, and how you can borrow consciousness from somebody else when you don't have it. So that's something also that Savannah, her mom yesterday, her mom's Erin, that Erin spoke about as well. So I'm excited about having him on my video here in about an hour and a half. So that being said, Savannah, I was following her on Facebook and on Instagram because first of all, I have a lot of respect for her mother, and the whole family has so many beautiful gifts about them. There was something different about you, Savannah, and I've talked to you about this. The way that you wrote, I think, is so beautiful. It is real. It talks about the pain that you have gone through. It's real. It is raw, and there's so much beauty in it. And I loved how you are sharing it with the world, because within what you write, even the pictures you take are amazing. So within all of this, there's so much healing, and I recognize that, and I wanted her to come on board because she's a college student, she's younger, she's a millennial, who I absolutely love millennials. I love how we have shaped their lives to want the experience, to want something more than what my generation has actually given, has put out there. So that being said, the celebration of pain, this goes to something that was said yesterday in a video, that everything is based, the way that we live our life and get through pain and unfortunate circumstances in our past are all in the way we think about it and the way we speak about it. Terry Stanley, who did a beautiful, it was The Energy We Create, that was her video yesterday. And she said, instead of saying that I had a really rough childhood, was abusive, she said, why don't we change the perception and say, I had an enriched childhood, because there were lessons there and it made you who you are today. So when you said to me, I want to talk about the celebration of pain, you remember I went like, oh my God, that is so good. Yeah. Because it gives pain a different meaning. It makes it that loving mother teacher rather than that taskmaster that has a whip and wants to beat things into us. So I loved how you said that. So that being said, tell us about how this all started for you.
The celebration of pain?
The celebration of pain.
Yeah. Well, I think that in order to even start thinking about that, I didn't have to start thinking about that until I had actually experienced pain, which I was really blessed to not really experience pain until I was like 17 or 18. I mean, there were small things that are normal, right. But I grew up in a really loving, warm, and safe, stable environment. My dad was a pastor and my mom was a worship leader, and they were both very just empowering and kind. Like if I would feel guilty about something and go and tell them, they would say, thank you so much for telling me. And we would talk about why. And there was basically, my guilt was the punishment, right. My mom would sometimes say, hey, if I ever do anything that you don't like, will you tell me? Like, I want you to feel powerful enough to tell me that and feel like I love you and want to hear what you have to say. So that's what I grew up with, which I'm really, really, really thankful for, because I think if I hadn't, the pain that I experienced afterwards would have hit me in a different way.
Right.
Would have sort of changed my identity in a brutal way.
Right.
If I didn't have that love.
It's interesting that you say that, because my daughter feels the same way. That's what you were saying about your mom, how she interacted with you. That's how I am with my daughter.
Yeah.
In fact, her friends are all like, I wish you were my mom, because she can talk honestly with me. And that is really, I mean, so important on how we treat our children. And it enables them to be able to look at pain when it comes to them and respond to it rather than react. Right.
Oh,
it just is a different perception. Right.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, to any moms and dads out there that feel afraid that their kid is doing something crazy or is in pain, I think responding in a longing to understand versus like fear and, you're not representing me well, or this isn't what I expected you to be. All those things can really create a divide. Whereas I feel like my mom, or probably you as well, when you ask your little person what's going on, it's just out of care for their heart, and they can feel that, and then they feel excited that they have someone that loves them.
Right, because it's not about what our expectations are, it's about their journey. So it's really important. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Erin.
Good job, Mom. So then we went through our first big loss, which was our church. I grew up in the church, and it was basically like family. And there were a series of events that took place that ultimately led to my family being without a home or job in Santa Barbara, California, which is a beautiful place, but also really expensive. And we were there initially for ministry families to go and live for free for 3 months, but then the 3 months was up, and we didn't, my parents didn't feel like this calling to go back to Idaho. And so we stayed in this unknown environment. And at that point, financially, there was huge loss and instability there. But what was really cool is that those moments for me are some of the most beautiful ones, because we didn't have anything. But I knew that my mom and dad really, really loved each other. And
wow.
I mean, it was this circle of love that we were literally, it was like our breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our fancy towels. It was all just the love.
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that those moments really refined me, as far as I'm not the pastor's kid anymore, and I don't look like everyone else anymore. I'm not the one that can invite people over anymore. I basically entered a place of need instead of provision, and that was so humbling for me, because it sort of stripped away. I'm loved because everyone at church knows who I am and thinks I'm going to be great. It was like, nobody knows who I am, and I hope they think I'm great, but like, they don't know. Basically, like, my mom thinks I'm special,
Well, you know what? It stripped away your labels, right? The story you were telling with your labels, all of a sudden you didn't have those labels anymore that defined you. Right. You didn't even have, I don't know how bad it was, but maybe you didn't know where your next meal was coming from, or what bed you were going to sleep in. All those labels were absolutely stripped from you. Yeah. Right. And then you had to define yourself by love, by, like you said, it was your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was the fancy towels that you used to dry off your body. It was the pillow that you laid your head on. It became about love. And I mean, that's what we were before all the labels were given anyways. You just had them stripped off at an early age and very raw. Oh, yeah. Right? Wow.
Yeah, nobody knew. I mean, I would go to school in the morning, and no one knew that I was coming from, like, all 6 of us in a Motel 6 room, and like digging through a bag of clothes and wanting to feel cute and have all these like routines that all the other, you'd watch those makeup routines on YouTube and
right.
like,
Yeah.
I want a morning routine, but here I am. But I ended up that year of high school ended up being the best year of my high school career, because I was just known for like my laughter and my love, and I felt so eager to know people, because they became my fortune. It was like relationships, and
they became your fortune.
Yeah.
The relationships became your fortune. Wow. Yeah. What's really something, I mean, you have so much wisdom within you, and there's people that are watching that are going through loss. They're going through where they might lose their homes, or they've lost their identity as a wife or a partner. They've lost relationships based on they're going from tradition of religion to the truth of spirituality. They're going through that loss. So what is their fortune? Or can you survive on, like you did, love became everything that you were and what tucked you in at night.
Yeah.
And it was the best years of your life.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And it's the only reason I can say it was the best years of my life is because of the people that were around me. And I think it really helps to, if you don't have someone going through it with you, to reach out to people that you think might have experienced something similar, because there's just that intimacy that you can have without even trying.
Right.
To hear somebody say me too, or to be around that, is like, it gives you a, taller posture, because you don't feel crazy.
Yeah, when I started, I met Savannah's mom through this group of victims, and I got to tell you, it was healing for me to have other people go, I had the same, you're not losing your mind. Yeah, right. That happened to me too. And I felt, oh my gosh, I'm not alone anymore. There are other people on this wave of energy that have gone through this as well. That heals me a little. Yeah. Right.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, so my identity it shifted from the pastor's kid and all of that to like just a girl who seems nice,
Right, right.
And that was so good for me. And then I left high school and I went to Bethel School of Ministry, and I met a guy there. We dated for only like 11 months and then got engaged. And it's really big there too, like sit next to the person you have a crush on, and if they squeeze your hand during prayer, they like you, and if you squeeze their hand back, you should get married. So right. We both held hands during prayer. It's soulmate.
Well, the way I was raised, you weren't even allowed to hold hands till you got married. So
oh dear. So right. Holding hands was exciting then.
Right. Yes.
There's a lot
to do everything at one day. One day, everything happened.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The wedding night, we held hands for the first time.
Right.
And it was all uphill from there.
Right.
So what I want to focus on, because that relationship isn't something I want to super focus on in this, but the painful part of that was that he broke it off like 2 months after our engagement. And the thing that he said that really stuck with me, it's funny, he got down on his knees to break up with me. And this man walked by and said, "Are you proposing?" And I was like, "No, he's not." He is not proposing. And then the guy, you saw him trailing off. Sorry. That moment, he said to me, "Savannah, I can't be your God." And it was about my need for comfort and intimacy and wanting that nearness. And so here I was again, kind of faced with this being unknown by the people around me, and sort of like, it's very easy to feel isolated when financially you don't match up with people around you, and then you have this person saying, "I actually don't want to have you anymore." And it was this like that I think was the most, once that happened, it was the most painful physical experience of my life. Like, I mean, I was shaky, and I would wake up in the middle of the night crying, and I couldn't eat for weeks, and the classic heartbreak things.
But did it triggered something in you? It wasn't so much, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, was it about the breakup, or was it about what he triggered within you that went back to what Christy talked about in her video a few moments ago, was your Chiron, that wound within you? What was that wound that he triggered?
Yeah, I think it was this
losing everything again.
Yeah, it was losing things, and it was not being near and not being intimate. I was so used to that was my medicine and my way to make it through what were the relationships around me and the intimacy. And so when I basically like took my heart out and invested all of it into him, and then he said, actually, this isn't what I want, it was like, wait a second, I thought this was the answer. I thought relationship was the answer. And now I don't have it. And I really had to, I mean, all of these thoughts of I need intimacy too much. I've healed the wrong way. My expectations are too high. He was this really fun, charismatic Christian guy who loved evangelism and praying for homeless people and led worship. And it was like all of the boxes were checked. But there was this, when it came to the intimate and intense moments, he was gone. And I think that's what I was so used to, was like, actually, those were the moments where I remember growing in intimacy and relationship with my parents, is when we lost everything. It was like, let's hold tight to each other. This is what we have now.
Wow.
This is all that we have now. So that was I didn't know it at the time, but I definitely went into a depression after that. And I felt alone, and I started working 2 jobs and saving up, and I wanted to go on an adventure, but my heart was aching and sick, and it was just pure rejection. And how does a human heart deal with being rejected? Especially and it's not what you're used to. It can really redefine you. So
right.
There's this other opportunity now for me to be redefined. Yeah. So, and what I focus on now when I think about loss, and being redefined is just that physical feeling of you really get knocked over, you really get knocked down. But it's amazing what time did for me, and what relationship did for me. I came back to, I have my mom and dad, I have my siblings. They really, really love me, and we walked through fire together. And I know that I can walk through fire with people, that expectation isn't too high.
Right.
So do you have any questions about that before I move on to sort of my main theme, which is my last relationship, and then celebrating pain and being worthy of love? Should I pause here and talk any more about that, or?
No, let's move on to let's continue moving forward. I think, one thing that with you talking is what I'm noticing is that your parents and your family have given you such, so much love and intimacy within. And I got to tell you is that it's going to take a man with so much magic to be able to match what you have been taught that you deserve. And some men, the men that you've met, obviously have not been able to achieve that. And that is something that is so strong with your family. I think that's one of the reasons why I feel this wave of peace and anointing and a beautiful energy within your family, because of this high vibration of love that goes in and through and around, and it swirls around you. Your family is in love with each other. It's really, truly beautiful. So just remember, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I had to wait 49 years to find it, right? So it can potentially be difficult for you to find somebody that matches that vibration. And every man that comes along has thought that you're too much.
Yeah.
Because you require what was given to you, what you've been raised in. That just means they're not enough. It's not that you're too much, ever. You're never, ever, never. It's not that. It's that they can't provide you the beautiful oneness, the wholeness of love and intimacy that you have received in your family. So raise your expectations, because they're just giving you crumbs from their table when your family not only gave you a chair at the table of intimate love, they also gave you a 7-course meal.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. You're not too much.
Yeah. I'm just full.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I love that. You're full. Right.
Yeah. That's so good. So when I met this last guy, he basically in my head was like, because he was so cool, I thought, wow, I really am who I thought I was. If he loves me, then all of these moments of loss and being redefined, if he is this cool and he loves me, then like I knew it. Like I knew I was lovable, you know. That's what that moment was for me. And it was so misplaced, because there was this woundedness of I had been broken and I was considering, am I too much? And so to have someone who in my mind was like up in the stars to say, I think you're worthy of love, was like, and now it was true.
Now it defines you, in your mind, it defines your worth.
Yeah, like, okay, cool. Like, look where I came from. I had nothing financially. Then I got rejected by my fiance, but now it was like the broken picture frame that was dusted and on the floor got picked up and blown off and put back on the shelf. Like, this is it.
Right,
right. So I so willingly gave everything that I had to that, and fully trusted that it was worth it, and that he was worth it. And I gave all of myself. And in the moments where after I had given all of myself, there were some intense moments where I would hear the phrase like, Savannah, if from him, at one point, you are so fucking introspective, or you are fucking batshit crazy. And that word used to give me chills. And now it doesn't give me chills anymore because I heard it so much.
Right.
But,
wow.
But he became this, whatever he says must be true, because I need to hold on to this, because if I don't, then that means that I actually am not lovable, and I actually am not what I thought I was. So I better make this work. Those were these thoughts happening. And the sentences that he would say to me kind of became this rhythm in my mind when I would fall asleep or when I would wake up. Like, these things are true about me. I'm too introspective, and I'm crazy. And even though I'm artistic, it's because I'm flawed, and all of those, like, deeply carrying this. And it came from such a triple, there's him, and then there's this last relationship, and then there's the loss before that. And I don't want to be too much. You know, I want to be lovable. I want to belong. And so when that ended, when he said, we were long distance for almost 2 years. And when he said, Savannah, I don't want to do it anymore, I felt this. I didn't feel pain. I felt this breath, because I think something clicked in me where I realized he's leaving, but I still feel lovable. Like,
wow.
I still know, like, something isn't clicking here, because this proof that I'm lovable is gone now. But logically, I so much believe that everyone is worthy of being loved, that if everyone is worthy of being loved, then I am too. And if that's the only logical way I can get there now, after experiencing these things and being so like, wow, I want to change the world. I want to love the world. I want to publish a book. I want to do everything because everyone is worthy of love. And I can go to these extreme, like the worst person I can think of, the only reason they're the worst person is because they didn't get love and they need love to get better.
Right.
And so I could finally, like, in that moment of like, it's almost like I didn't know how to experience the rejection of it anymore, because what I realized was that everyone deserves to be loved, and that includes me. I'm included in that big picture in my head. Right. And it kind of overrided those phrases of me being too introspective and batshit crazy. And even if someone logically was fucking batshit crazy and they're in a mental hospital, the answer isn't to tell them that that's what they are. You know, like, right. Nobody deserves to say those sentences to themselves or to hear them, whether it could possibly be true of someone or not. Right. That is never the answer. And so it was so good for me to realize that humanity itself doesn't ever need to hear that from anybody. And I don't need to hear that from someone. And also my mind became kind of a mean place for my heart. And
wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your mind became a mean place for your heart. Wow.
Yeah. Through that, I think through hearing those phrases, and trying to reconcile, I'm still with this person. What he says is true. So this needs to stop conflicting with this, which means that him and my mind need to be mean to my heart in order for this to work, in order for this to continue, which is so sad and slowly, gradually happens. But what was I going to say about that? So my mind becoming a mean place for my heart. I've just recently been thinking this needs to be the safest place for my heart. If I'm in a room of crowded people and I'm financially different than they are, or I believe all of them should be loved and I should be here to show them how to be loved, and that's the pastor's kid in me, you know, and I want to change the world, all those thoughts, it should start between this relationship here. So wow. How kind is my mind to my heart? Because if everyone here deserves to be loved, obviously I do too. And just because I want to change the world doesn't mean I can neglect my heart. Doesn't mean I need to say, if I can be mean to myself and humble. Yeah, my heart needs to feel safe and loved by my mind. And so here I am thinking this now, believing that I do deserve to be loved. And there's nobody cool that's telling me that. It's just here now. And for sure there's these painful moments of, you know, when I say I'll post public things and people will be, you know, there are long paragraphs of disagreement, which is awesome. I mean, people are free to do that. And those moments are challenging for me because I have to swallow it, and it doesn't change that I'm not too much. I'm not too introspective or crazy, and they, if I can think and understand and feel impacted by them and they are worthy of being loved, it's like, okay, it's still true. It's still full circle. I still deserve to be loved. I still deserve to be loved. I still deserve to be loved. And if someone thinks that I don't, it just means that they're not the ones that are going to love me. That's all that means. And
that's right.
It doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be loved. And that fundamental feeling is that's what makes me feel stronger and more able to love people around me. Is if I would be maybe what Christian realms would call is selfish or prideful, is to say, wow, I really love myself. And I really think I'm powerful and beautiful and worthy of love. And then it's like, oh.
You know, it's very, for those in an imperfect world, and you're absolutely right, people who don't understand, it's because they weren't loved.
Yeah.
Wounded people tend to wound us, right? And you come from love. Like you did a poem, and I would, if you had it, if you memorized it, or you could quote it now, or whatever, or put a link to it. You talked about, and maybe it was your video that you did, you talked about you came from love, you were made in love, you were, you know, and so, yeah, I mean, you're coming from this perfect love that flows within your family. Your parents have been married forever. They're still madly in love with each other. They support each other like unbelievably.
Yeah.
There is this union in this community, and there's this intimacy within your family that is unlike. Usually brothers and sisters are fighting. I know mine don't talk to each other, but your family is so supportive of one another. So the expectation is higher, and people that don't understand that vibration will never be able to reach it, and they're always going to disappoint. But you are love in human form.
Yeah.
You are, and I'm actually going to read something about that at the end of this. You are love, you come from love, and you deserve love because that's who you are.
Yeah.
And just a lesser man will never be able to fulfill that, because you need a warrior.
Yeah.
You need a man in Christ consciousness, or in the consciousness of one that comes in and loves you, period. No adjectives, no modifiers to it. No talking negative and telling you that you're too much. You're not too much. You are perfect. And I love your depth. And many of us, we've all gone through, you know, breakups, and it's difficult for all of us. But you have learned from it. You haven't stayed within that vibration of unworthiness. You're rising from it. You're using your wounds to be the catalyst that can change the world or change other people's lives. You are taking those ashes, and you are taking them and you are using them as the paint strokes to your masterpiece. And I think that what you do, what you write, every move you make, it's like the pictures you take, your mannerisms, the way you speak, everything about you is love in motion. It's poetry. And I love that about you.
Wow.
And I'm grateful that you have the parents that you do, and the people surrounding you, and even the lessons, because you were given love so freely. And in an imperfect world, when you're given love so freely, there are lessons that you have to learn, that not everybody will give love like that.
Yeah.
And then you have to learn to love yourself.
Yeah.
Like your parents love you.
Yeah. And the thing that I think I would get stuck in is I need to unconditionally love people even when they don't love me.
Right.
But my dad always made fun of me. He's like, "You're not supposed to unconditionally love prospective husbands, Savannah." Like, can we have a filter?
Right.
But it's true that everyone is deserving of love. But there's so much complexity to what your role is in someone else being and feeling loved. And I mean, that's a whole other story. But, you know, the man that isn't for me, all the men that aren't for me, realizing that I don't hate them and they're worthy of love, but that I don't have to crawl into their most intimate spaces of the heart and heal them.
Right. Wow. I'm going to use that as a quote. Okay. I'm just letting you know that is going on for one of our quotes. That's beautiful.
Do it.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so appreciative. So let me ask you, so how do people follow your work?
Yeah. So I post a lot of my poetry and music on my Instagram, which is the little @ and then Savannah Lee Smiles. You can see how my name is spelled, or we can post it here, but
yeah, why don't you, if you can post it, that's great. And it's Leigh, correct?
Yeah, Lee,
Okay.
Leigh.
Okay. Bliss, you're right. Yes, I found another one for Team Love. Absolutely. So I'm incredibly grateful. I want to read something, and I think it's just beautiful how it coincides with what you talked about. And it's a published author who wrote this, and she's going to be doing videos with us as well. Her name is Courtney Walsh. So I'm going to read this to you. I read it on the last video, and I feel that it's important to do it again. Cool. It's called Dear Human. Dear human, you got it all wrong. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. That is where you came from and where you'll return. You came here to learn personal love, universal love, messy love, sweaty love, crazy love, broken love, whole love. You didn't come here to be perfect. You already are. You came here to be gorgeously human, flawed and fabulous. Yeah. And then to rise again into remembering. But unconditional love, stop telling that story. Love in truth doesn't need any other adjectives. It doesn't require modifiers. It doesn't require the condition of perfection. It only asks that you show up and do your best, that you stay present and feel fully, that you shine and fly and laugh and cry and hurt and heal and fall and get back up and play and work and live and die as you. It's enough. It's plenty. So that's what you're doing. And I love it.
I need to clap for that.
Yeah. So on that note, please follow Savannah. And once again, on Instagram, it's at Savannah Lee Smiles. Savannah, thank you so much for taking, I know you're busy with college and everything you've got going on in work. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. I love it. And I can't wait to learn more about the celebration of pain, because honestly, I learned something today. And I love how you express it. I love what comes from your heart. I love the relationship your head has with your heart. And I think you're absolutely amazing. Wow. And I mean that from my heart. So thank you.
Thanks, Trisha. I love that. And I hope that the main thing taken away is just the commonality. Like, the thing we all have in common is that we're all deserving of love and that we've all had pain. And that's what makes us, I mean, that's so relatable that we've all experienced pain and we're all worthy of love. Yes. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye, Uprisers. I will be back at 2:30. So in 1 hour with Calling in the One series. All right. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.